Good Sunday afternoon, everyone, and welcome. This is another wonderful online event brought to you by Minorities for Medical Marijuana Illinois chapter. I am your chapter president, J.D.S, and I am so honored to welcome this sis right here. This sis right here. Powerhouse financial consultant and advisor, expert in the game, and come on now. Cannabis investments. Let's talk about it. So today I brought her on to give us sort of a 101 foundation for entering the cannabis stock arena, because a lot of us have questions. A lot of us have flipped through Robinhood or looked on the Fidelity website, and we are ready, and the cannabis industry is ready for us. So I hope you have your notebooks ready. I've definitely got my tons of post-it notes and everything. Cimone Casson.
Yes.
Wonderful young lady. I am just honored. Thank you so much. I hope I skimmed the surface of everything that you do with my introduction, but please go on ahead and tell the wonderful world of M4MMIL what it is you do and what we're going to be discussing today.
Cool. So first of all, I have to say I am, well, just as J.D., I'm the chapter president in Michigan, but guess what, guys? I just moved back from Chicago, right? So Chicago is actually home for me. I was there for 20 years. So, and I will be back next month. I'll be back in May and June. So J.D., we definitely will hang out during that time while I'm there.
Oh, hanging out is an understatement.
We're gonna get loose, right?
Together. We're gonna get an event together. So everyone, stay tuned for that. Yeah.
Stay tuned for that. So I'll be there. And so just to tell you a little bit about myself is that I am a financial advisor, as J.D. said, and I've been working in the financial advising space for over 10 years, 63, 65, life, health, property, and casualty. When I came back to Michigan, I realized that there was a major opportunity in the cannabis space, is that cannabis companies could not obtain the same comfortability financially as other companies, meaning no banking, no financing, and a host of other things. But what I knew was that, and this was all that I knew, is that insurance was state. That's all I knew. I knew that insurance was governed by the state and it wasn't governed by the federal. And so I looked at my boyfriend at the time and I said, he was like, what are you going to do when you're here? I said, I'm going to insure weed businesses. He said, can you do that? I said, I don't know, but we're going to find out, right? So I did a little bit of research and I found out that cannabis, that it could be insured, and along with that, cannabis and hops and hemp had very similar, same problems. So I created a insurance company, Cannabis Capital, and so we insure cannabis and craft brewing from seed to sale, everything in between, from executive programs, healthcare programs, everything that's insurance. I have 3 agents that work for me, and we're in Ohio, Illinois, and Michigan.
So one second, because we've got some more people trickling in, and thank you all for joining us. I just want to make sure that everyone is taking notes. She just named 3 different jobs just now. 3. Although she has her own agency, she literally just named 3 different positions just by having her own agency. So keep that in mind when we are discussing ancillary business.
Ancillary companies, which is a big thing.
Yes, please go ahead.
And a lot of people have to understand that this industry, as it's emerging, we need some of everything. You know what I mean? So you can actually, there's nothing that happens in another industry that cannabis doesn't have needed, and there's probably a shortage or opportunity in it, right?
Yes.
So, so by being licensed, when I got licensed, this was like in 2015, I had already been licensed, and so I had started to invest in cannabis stocks. And this was not, you know, a whole lot of money or whatever. I got a bonus from doing an annuity. And at that point, the bonus from the annuity was probably like an additional $1,000 or something like that. Anywho, I took 980 of it and I bought cannabis stocks. And the reason being is because my then mentor told me, buy stuff that you understand. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I used to sell weed.
Hey,
so,
no, I know. No, I know.
I sold weed in high school. I sold weed in college. This is a whole nother thing. But anyway, I sold weed. So I bought stuff that I knew. And so I was able to eventually, within 3 years, I turned a $980 investment into a $20,000 portfolio. And that's only
Amazing.
cannabis stocks. Now, let me say this. There were some things that I did really, really well. And there's some things that I did really, really bad. And well, not really bad, but some things that I made a mistake on. And so out of that, I created Cash Out on Cannabis because I figured a couple things. One, African Americans especially, this is a great opportunity to learn the stock market. A lot of times we're so quick to go to the lottery or to the casino because we feel like we understand it, right? And
Okay.
so we shun away from the stock market, which really, in all honesty, if you go to the stock market and you really playing more with the house money. You know what I mean? You got better chances. And so I created a curriculum where I use terms like side chick and main chick and market emotion and all of that other stuff so that you can actually understand what's going on and it doesn't sound so, it doesn't sound so crazy.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what we do. And we've been doing that. And so we sell it on a couple of different platforms. About me, I'm the president of Minorities for Medical Marijuana in Michigan. I'm also the economic and development chair for the NAACP in health and wellness and cannabis. And then along with that, I work with a host of, I'm also Dr. Boyce Watkins, cannabis investing coach, and I'm one of the Fly Nubian Queens on his channel.
Yes, and Dr. Boyce Watkins has played such an important role in the development of the cannabis industry too. Could you share just a piece of your working relationship with Dr.
Well,
Watkins?
right now, so Dr. Boyce has done some traveling or whatever. I am actually dedicating my time to educating Mr. Watkins into more and more of us trying to get an understanding. I'm also reaching out to the Nation of Islam to try to get them some more information about that.
Beautiful.
But we are definitely right now we hear a big conversation, especially because we have 2020 elections coming on, and
yes.
And we're looking at the federal legalization. We're looking at the Safe Bank, and we'll talk about that as we go forward. But we're looking at the Safe Bank Act being reintroduced. All of those things are big key players, especially in investing and in Black wealth and as a whole. So what we're talking about is as everybody's having this consistent conversation of reparations. We're talking about revitalization of the African American farmer. We're talking about expungement. We're talking about reparations. We're talking about rebuilding the communities. The one thing that actually hits all of those is marijuana right now. That's the one that actually hits all of those buckets. And so at this point, we have to really get to the point, as Minister Farrakhan says, is that we start to align like-minded people, right? So we can't get into the fact of somebody being Christian or Muslim or somebody being for or against cannabis. It's here now. So now what we gonna do, right?
Right. So that's why, and especially on this beautiful Sunday afternoon, as many people are descending from their spiritual gatherings and coming from church and whatnot, I wanted to keep that mentality of prosperity in mind, because this is definitely one way that we can have an edge on the market by sitting right at our computers or scrolling through our phones, having that knowledge. So Cimone, I am actually going to make you a host, and the floor is up.
All right, y'all ready to get started?
Go right on ahead. You are now host, Miss Lady.
All right, I am a host. Okay, cool. So okay, cool. We got it. All right.
Yeah, it's instant. It's like that.
All right, I got it.
I'm muting. I'm shutting up.
All right, cool. So can you just wave if you can see this screen? Okay, cool. All right, great. All right, so we're going to get down into some really cool. One thing that I like to tell everybody is that if you do not have a strategy of any kind when you're trying to get into the stock market, then you're gambling, right? That's pretty much what you're doing. So people if you're playing baseball, you playing basketball, whatever, if you don't have a strategy, then you just shooting a shot. You know, you hoping that it works out for you. A bad strategy is better than no strategy. So you got to have some type of strategy to go on to be able to think, okay, how am I going to get from A to Z? Because understand, Murphy's Law, everything that possibly can happen is going to happen, period. And that's in the stock market and everything. So what we have here is our core strategy investing. And that's one of the ones that's actually, this is a course that we are offering a discount for M4MMIL. But we're going to just talk about some basics that kind of go into this strategy, right? So let's talk about the stock market as a whole. Basically, people need to understand that the stock market is not a scary place. It's not a place to freak you out. It is a market like any place else, like a flea market, like a grocery store, like a farmer's market. It is a place where you can get a bunch of different stuff in one place. That's it. So if you go to the farmer's market, you can get tomatoes, you can get cucumbers, you can get onions, whatever, a bunch of different stuff. If you go to the flea market, my grandmother used to take me to the flea market or the rummage sale. If y'all old school, did they call them the rummage sale? All right, so if my grandmother used to take me to the rummage sale or to the flea market.
Swap meet,
same thing. Means you can go get a bunch of different stuff, right? So that's pretty much what it is. And so the stock market is a place where you can buy a bunch of different kinds of assets. Do not let it scare you. So that means you can buy stocks, you can buy bonds, you can buy real estate, you can buy all of these different assets on the stock exchange or the stock market. That's it. Anybody tells you, if they give you some convoluted, big old, don't listen to them. That's it. This is the market. This is a place where I can buy stuff. That's it. So, okay. All right. So the cannabis is a sector. So it is a sector or industry within the market. And that just means, just like medical is a sector, tech is a sector, financial is a sector, it is a sector which in the market, which we know cannabis businesses are businesses that are either they operate licensed, they are licensed operators in the cannabis industry, or they're related, meaning when we talked about the ancillary, right? So they're either related or they actually operate in there. So let's talk about some things, some key things, and I want you guys to write this down because this isn't on here. Some key things on why we choose the cannabis market, all right? First thing that you need to know, and that because probably, even though we're in it and we see everything, you still could be like, well, Cimone, why would I buy, it's in this emerging market. Why should I buy this now? Let me tell you why. First thing I want you guys to write this down is that anybody that's 10 years old or younger will never know life without cannabis. And that's a big, big thing. So you have to look at it like this. If you have remember, like I have a 4-year-old little boy who I'm in love with, right? And he's cute as a button. And so he can take his phone and he could go on and YouTube and do whatever it is that he wants. He can look at everything, and he will never know life without internet. Where I'm 40, I'll be 41 in May. And so I know life without internet. So you have to think about it. Internet and YouTube or whatever, anybody that's born will never know life without it. So that makes not just end users, but that just creates a whole nother volume of individuals who actually participate in that market. So anybody that is 10 years old or younger will never know life without marijuana. Next thing is our population will continue to grow. So every 10 years we do a census, right? Now, if Trump don't just, set us all on fire or do something crazy, we know every 10 years there will be more end users. So that's 2 ways that we have more end users. Next thing that we have is technology. So as technology increases, so the costs decrease. So what that looks like is that over time, we're going to learn how to be able to be even more effective with popping buds, more effective with growing. The time of growing an actual flower will shrink, because they will learn how to be able to grow flowers quicker. All of those different things will emerge, and so technology will decrease the price. So the more technology you have, the more price can be cut. And then last but not least, of course, inflation. So of course we know that right now we're at about a 2.25% inflation. So as inflation increases, then that means that the price increases. So all of these things are what make this a great market. All right. You guys let me know if you got any questions about that, and we're gonna move right along. All right. So things that you need to know about the cannabis market and the stock market. So cannabis is a new and emerging industry. And why do we call it new and emerging? Of course, we know that it's new, but why do we call it emerging? Because it's moving so quickly. As I said before, cannabis, not only the cannabis, the touch, right? So the non-ancillary, but also the ancillary companies are just as important. And as we kind of create an industry of this ancillary, lets us know that we're in a good place. So let's look at this. If you're in the medical, if you buy medical, most of the time these are going to be medical and things that touch medicine, right? The difference between cannabis and medical is that you can't be like a travel agency for medical, if that makes sense for you. You can, but would you have a good market, right? So the difference of it is that with cannabis, you can have a travel agency, you can have a bed and breakfast, you can have an insurance company, you can have a HR company, you can have a brokerage, you can have a real estate. There's so many different things and nuances that go into this actual industry, a lot more widespread than a lot of other sectors. So the ancillary companies also are great stocks for us to look at, because as this market emerges, as it continues to emerge, it broadens out all of the opportunities, and it also broadens out the companies that we're able to invest in. And as I'm going, if anybody has any questions, please type them and let me know, because I will definitely stop, and then we'll do Q&A once I finish.
Cimone, could I
sure.
Just in case anyone is not aware of what we mean by ancillary business in cannabis, that means a business or a company or even an organization that does not touch the plant, not touch the seed, it's not bagging up no cannabis, not rolling up, not selling in a dispensary, not growing it, processing it, so on and so forth.
Okay. Yeah, cool. All right, and I thought we went through that, but just so I'm glad she re-interjected that. So any company that does not actually have hands-on to the plant. So your non-ancillaries will definitely be your grows, your processes, your manufacturers, your dispensaries, and all that other stuff. My company, which is an insurance company, we would be ancillary, right? Because we don't touch it. We just help out. I touch it if I go in sometime. But most of the time, and just so you know, most of the time when I go into a facility, I'm doing it pre-license, well, when they're getting their license approved. And at that point, in most states, you can't have one seed in there until after everything, the licensing and everything is approved. So in most cases, by the time I'm invited to the establishment, there's not one seed in the building. You can't even bring the seeds in or the dirt until after the total licensing is done. No. Okay, cool. All good. All right, cool. So let's see, what do we have? Okay, so a traditional market risk. So when we look at this, we got to look at what does the market look like, right? So the stock market, we know, has some up and down period, right? So the market is definitely volatile, as we know, even though we're still on what we consider a bull run or a upward trend. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. But as a whole, you want to know, traditionally, the stock market is going to decline about 25% every 6 years, right? So every 6 years, you're going to decline. And if you guys, like I said, if you have a question, please stop me, put it in the chat. And Jonda, can I see the chat? Let's see. Okay, I can see it now.
Can you see it? Okay, great.
Now I could. Because it wasn't on there. Okay, cool.
Okay.
I want to make sure. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so if I do, make sure you guys type or something if you have any questions. Let me know, if you have a question about anything, and we can always slow it down. And if you don't, and you don't get the answer that you need, then you lose it. So make sure, there's no slow question or whatever, please. And I bet you if you have a question, somebody else is asking the same thing. Right? So cool. All right. But please stop me if you have any questions. All right. So as we look through here, let's look at about every 2 years, then the stock market declines about 10%. And the reason why I share this with you is because this is an emerging market, and you're going to have some decline. You're going to have some up and down. You're definitely going to have some additional risk. And we'll talk about what the next slide, we're going to talk about more about the risk. But you got to understand that there's always going to be risk. Tony, you got a question? I just unmuted.
Yes,
go ahead, Tony.
Yes,
Yep, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, I sure can.
Okay, we're kind of in a busy section, but I'm here with my cousin, Marsha, and our question is the stock regulated?
What do you mean regulated? What do you mean?
Like, is it like the stock market? Who is it governed by or regulated by?
It's governed by the stock exchange that it's on. It's totally legal. So whatever stock is, so there's no, I think what you're asking me has it been approved by the SEC? So just so we can go through this, so there is no like regulation. So the way that this goes is, let's say Cimone and Tony and Cimone decided they're going to go into business. We're going to go into a cannabis business, right? So let me back up for you. So in 2014, when the Canadian companies decided that they were going to go, that they wanted to go into business, at that time, crowdfunding, as we know it, do you know what crowdfunding is, Tony? Does everybody know what crowdfunding is?
I do.
Okay, so crowdfunding, I'm gonna tell you what it is. Crowdfunding is like GoFundMe and everything else. So that was a way, so after the big bubble bust in 2008, 2009, individuals stopped going, companies stopped going public for the most part. And so they started to operate on the internet under what we consider crowdfunding. So crowdfunding says, hey, you go on the internet and you go and you get a whole bunch of your friends to invest in your business, and they're going to invest in your business. And then at that time, you're going to give them a damn t-shirt, and then you're going to go and do whatever it is that you want. Well, the Canadian cannabis companies tried to do that at first, and their friends was like, I'm not giving you $100 million to put into some shit that ain't even legal. I'm not doing that. So they went to the Canadian Stock Exchange and said, okay, although we can't, because we can't get banking, we can't get our friends to do it. Now, what we did here is we heard over in the United States came up with something called Reg Ed. And Reg A is a cross between crowdfunding and going to an IPO. So the United States said, listen, what we'll do is we will let our little small t-shirt companies or somebody that wants to start a cologne line, if they're raising a minimum of $50 million, then we will let them do a match of a mix of crowdfunding and Reg A, and we won't have to have them secure anything until after they raise the money. And that's what you're seeing right now with High Times. So move forward. The people in Canada say, look, they made this stuff up in the United States. Can we come here and do it? They said, yeah. What we'll do is we'll let you raise money and you can have shareholders, but you can't go to a bank. So yes, everything is registered and regulated by the SEC, which is the Securities Exchange Commission. You cannot buy anything that is not approved by the Securities Exchange Commission. Does that make sense to you, Tony?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. I'm a host of useless information. All right, what else we got? Anybody else got a question? All right.
That's the way, guys. Don't be shy.
Don't be shy, because I'm telling you right now, you want to make sure you ask me while you got me. All right, so that brings us to our third point, which is the political risk that we have. So understand this, that the stock market as a whole has absolutely nothing to do with what happened today. Me, Tony, John Day, Kimberly, and Miss Love we could go out and we can have a cannabis business, right? And we do $1 million in sales in one day. And somebody writes a report that I went out and I went and felt on somebody's booty. The stock would drop. Yeah. Wouldn't have nothing to do with what we killed it that day. We sold $1 million worth of dope in one day. That don't mean nothing. It means absolutely nothing about the price. The price is based on the market sentiment and the market emotion. And so we'll talk about that a little bit more. But in addition to that, so right now, cannabis has a couple of other issues that other stocks don't have. So remember, I'm gonna tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. So right now, if Trump said, all this shit is over with, y'all pack it up, I'm tired of this weed, I ain't gonna have nothing to do with it, god damn it, I'm done. Guess what? All of these stock prices would actually change, right? They would all change. It's a political risk. Now, that doesn't mean that they won't bounce back. And in most cases, if we invest in really, really strong companies, no matter what happens, it will always return to what its real value is. But that's an additional risk, right? So right now, as we see federal laws and decisions going in, and even as you see new things being introduced, you're going to see some volatility in the actual cannabis market. Other thing is that we have to look forward to, this is the inevitable, is the regulatory risk. So right now, every state has their own determination of what it looks like as far as regulatory, right? So you go to some states, you can only have 10 milligrams of THC. You go to other states, you can only have 5, or da, da, da. And so eventually, there's going to have to be a third party that's going to have to regulate this, just like cigarettes and alcohol. So they're going to have what we consider a federal regulation behind it. At that point, all this shit gonna drop. Now, will it stay for long? Nah, it won't stay for long, but we're definitely going to see some things drop as different companies try to fit in on what's going to be, on how they can make regulations. But at the end of this, we'll give you a formula on what you're going to be looking for, all right, in companies. All right. So as I said before, and does that make sense to everybody? Please let me know if y'all didn't get that.
Did you raise your hand?
Yes. Tony, okay, go ahead, Miss Tony. What you got?
No. I was saying that makes sense. That's all.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So as I said before, the stock market don't have nothing to do with what happened today. We got TNC Corporation, right? Tony say, look here, girlfriend, me and you gonna sell this $1 million a day in marijuana. We about to kill the game. We gonna kill it, right? Now, somebody that said that they found me in a, not that this would ever happen, they had a porn tape of me. All right, cool, whatever. Guess what? The stock done went bad. And so the stock market moves up and down. It's basically on emotion. So when people always ask me, well, Cimone, what makes the stock go up and down? It's purely on emotion. The emotion can be about the industry. The emotion can be about the stock market as a whole, or the emotion can even be about the particular company. But market sentiment, it indicates how investors feel or look about the stock market right now. Market expectation is what they feel about it in the future. So we already know that even though we still have some people that are morally, or they might have their morals which are against cannabis, they might still be skeptical about the industry. But I'm sorry, as what we do know is the expectation is that it's going to continue to grow, right? So we already have 10 states that are recreational. 10, that's very, very big. Y'all, we're looking at some of the fastest approvals. Right now, I don't think that there is any state that does not have some form of marijuana on a up and coming bill. That's big. And that's just in the United States. Not only that, we also have the Safe Bank Act, which is really, really important. So the Safe Bank Act is the act that keeps banks from getting into, federal banks from getting into the cannabis market. That's the thing that slaps their hand if they do anything illegal. So they're reintroducing that. So all of that lets us know that we have great market expectations. And remember, what drives the price? The market sentiment and the market expectations. So in essence, what you have to understand is what moves the market is, let's say your stock is $10, right? So the more people buy it, the more it goes up. The more people sell it, the more it goes down. So you want to be into, and you want to look at things that have great market expectations and great market sentiment. Make sense to everybody? Cool. Wonderful.
Yes, that actually makes it a lot more simple.
Yeah, because they tell you a whole bunch of crazy stuff. Oh, yeah, no. Do people want it or not? Shit. Either they, you know, either they want it or not. Okay. So y'all probably heard on your, heard the stock people say stuff like it's a bearish market, it's a bullish market. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you what that means. So bearish means that it's a negative sentiment. People ain't really feeling cool about it. And the reason why they call it a bear is because how a bear attacks. He attacks downward. When a bear comes at you, he comes from the top and downward. So that's where it comes from. Don't get confused. It ain't no big deal. Bearish just means that it's coming from the top down. So that's how, and that's why they call it bearish. So he takes his claws, he brings it over top, and he brings it down when he attacks. That's a bear market. That's simple. Bullish market means the exact opposite. It means that it's in a good marketplace. Now, I'm a Taurus, so I always like the bullish market. We all do. But how does a bull attack?
Yes,
like
yes,
that.
I'm a Taurus too.
Okay, girl, May 3rd.
All right,
me, James Brown, and Dame Dash all got the same birthday.
I am not here for this. I am a Pisces, not here.
And look, I put on my birthday cakes. Happy birthday, me and James.
I'm gonna let y'all have y'all season.
Oh, okay. Just look, she can't take it. Okay, so look. But anyway, the bull goes like that, right? I always like to lose my bid. So if he goes like that, it's in an upward manner. So remember that. So bear, bull. Don't let nobody confuse you. You're going to be watching CNN and Bloomberg, and they say all this crazy stuff, and all it means, oh, yeah, we're in a bearish. No, that just means it's going up. Just go about your business. Don't let them confuse you. Stay focused. So if you know that you're in a bearish market, right? So you know that we're in a bearish market, then at that point, then what we're looking at is determining where we are, you know, or if you know you're in a bearish or a bullish market, you got to know where you are. Now, why do we like pot stocks in either market? And I don't have the slide for this one, but I'm gonna break this down to you guys, and I want you to write it down. So write down the word cyclical and defense. And I can spell that for you. Can I type in here so I can spell this for them?
Absolutely. If you go.
Yep, I got to find the chat. I had it. Okay,
it should be at the bottom of your.
I got it.
Okay, cool.
Yep, I got it. Can you email? Tony, we can send you the information for the courses. Okay, let me see. Hold on one second. Okay, so.
Yeah, Tony, I'm going to let Cimone give information about how to get more in-depth information and her classes, which go deeper and deeper into the concepts that she's introducing today.
Okay, thank you.
You got it.
Thank you, sis. Most def.
All right, cool. So I put cyclical and defense, or you can put cyclical and non-cyclical. All right, so let me tell you guys what cyclical stocks are. Cyclical stocks are luxury stocks. That's travel, that's construction, that's, let me see, travel, construction, furniture, stuff that's luxury. So when the market is going really, really well, then those stocks are going to always perform well. So y'all know, right now, girl, you could go on your timeline and black people in Greece You know, they out in Spain, they in Madrid. Right now, you can find them anywhere. And that's because the economy is doing pretty well. And what that looks like pretty much is that Joe could be working for a manufacturing company, and right now they're going to give him his 40 hours a week plus his overtime. And from that, he can buy a new house. He can, he can travel. He can buy a new car if he wants to. Everything is beautiful, right? But in a wake of a recession, when we go into a bearish market where we have more of our, when things aren't going that well, then, Joe is not even getting not only can he not get his overtime, he can't even get his 40 hours a week. They done cut him down to 32. So now at that point, he has to do some things. He has to stay focused on things that he has to pay. So the stocks that do really well in those in that market are utilities. So you got to pay your utilities if you don't buy nothing else, right? Other things that do well are what we call sin stocks. And our sin products and our sin and medical products are alcohol, tobacco, those are our sin products. And then, of course, medical products, because you're going to have to still pay for your medicine. And cannabis goes into both buckets. So another one of the reasons why we actually like cannabis is because whether we're in a bearish or a bullish market, we still look at cannabis to outperform what the market is going to do. Does that make sense to everybody? Now, y'all got to let me know if that made sense, because I went kind of fast on that. So let me know if that made sense.
Yes.
Cool.
It did.
Wonderful. So regardless of where, wonderful, thank you. So regardless of where, what the hell the economy does, we ain't even worried about what the economy does in the wake of us buying cannabis stocks. That's like the least of our concern. We really don't care, because regardless if the market goes down, cannabis in most cases will outperform. Understand, you ain't got that many hours to work. What you gonna do? You gonna smoke weed? Shit. Are you gonna drink? Or we saw in the recession before, cigarette stocks went up, alcohol stocks went up, and that was before cannabis. The other thing about that is that alcohol and cigarette companies have teamed up with cannabis companies, and so that's always a great thing, right? So alcohol and end users like Philip Morris, those are the people that make Cools. They're in the market. The brand that makes Constellation brand, that makes Corona beer and tequila and a bunch of other stuff, they're in there too. So we love, no matter what, we're not afraid. We just got to stick to a strategy. All right, cool. All right, I'm gonna skip that one. I'm gonna swap out this menu. All right, so we talked about that. All right, so we're gonna go to this. Let's do a new share. Okay. Did that new share come up? John Day, can you check and see if the screen is white now?
Yes, it is.
Okay, cool.
You know what? I keep forgetting I'm muted and I'm unmuted, and I'm screaming, yes, yes.
Okay, cool, no problem.
My bad. Go right ahead.
Mm-hmm. So we talked about why we really, really love the cannabis stocks and everything. But there's two other, outside of the immediate risk of the political and regulatory, we also need to know a couple other things. Right now, every single cannabis company that is inception, and I'm talking about every one of them. It ain't one of them that ain't doing it. Every single cannabis company that is in inception is spending money like crazy. And the reason why they're spending money like crazy is because most of them are trying to expand. They're trying to become the next Amazon, the next Facebook, the next, Netflix. And so all of them are really in debt in most cases. There's very, very few that are in the positive. So when we look at stocks, in my strategy, what I teach you is things to be able to look at. So that one, you're making sure that you're buying the stock on sale, and then two, also that you're looking at them and trying to find in attempts to find stocks, companies that will actually reflect a strong true value in the very near future. And so we have a basic formula that I'm going to share with you guys, and then we'll end up wrapping up and being able to take some questions. Other thing that we want to look for also too is you want to look for companies that are trying to make some form of transition from medical to recreational. If you are medical, then you might want to stay in that space, but really, really great companies are going to be companies that you want to put in your portfolio that will be able to withstand and go into recreational, as that's the new thing. So I'm going to leave you guys with my formula, a formula that I created for individuals to be able to look at. And it's called Plant. How cool is that, right? So things that you want to look for when you are making confident decisions in a cannabis stock. First thing is P. Do they own their process from seed to sale? So as we've already seen everything, we've seen a lot of companies, hemp has become legal, and we already talked about the recreation. Think about it like this. If you buy a stock, and I'm not saying don't, but these are kind of rules of thumb that you can do. So there's always exceptions. But if you buy a company and all they are a dispensary, when the regulatory comes, guess what? They probably have $100 million worth of weed on their shelves, and whatever doesn't meet the regulatory has to be pulled off and has to be thrown away immediately. So we really want to look at a lot of companies that own the whole process from seed to sale, meaning that they're actually planting the seed, they're, manufacturing, processing it, and what have you. Because what will happen is that if a regulatory or political change happens, they can immediately say, throw this shit away. We're going to start all over again, junk it, and they can go ahead and keep their process going. Whereas someone else who has to buy all of their inventory wholesale, if something were to change, they shit out of luck. I mean, they got to throw all the inventory away and they have to re-up. So that's the first thing. Did that make sense to everybody? Let me know. L is for leadership team. So the leadership team. Cool. All right, perfect. So leadership team, you want to make sure that you're looking at the executives that are on these companies. And understand this, I do this with every stock that I purchase. It's not like I just do this with cannabis, but you should always look at the leadership team. Leadership team does not mean that you have Joe Bob as an executive who's been growing weed in his barn for the last 15 years. That's not what it means. Do they have a leadership team, meaning a CEO, a CFO, a COO? Do they have a board of directors that has had a tried and true, been able to actually execute successfully a business? So, did they come from Netflix? Did they come from a mobility company? Did they come from someplace that had a proven record of being successful? So you want to make sure you're looking at the leadership team. Areas of coverage. Is this company looking to expand and have areas of coverage, right? So if they're based out of Canada, there are only 2 countries in the world that we live in, that can actually export cannabis. That's Canada and the Netherlands. The Netherlands ain't got enough weed for their damn self, so they damn sure can't give it to nobody else. So if we're looking at these Canadian companies, are they looking at other companies to be able to put stuff in? Let me make sure I'm not missing a question. Okay, cool. All right. N, network of partners. As we talked about before, are they teaming up with companies that are going to be able to get them to end users from medical to recreational? So understand this, most cannabis companies as a whole have just pretty much, it's like a doctor's office. That's what the hell it is. So think about if you had a business and you were going to turn it from a doctor's office to a bar. That's pretty much going from medical to recreational. Well, that's kind of a hard thing to do. So look at it like this. Y'all know the little medical commercials? Be like the nice couple. They're on a beach, they holding hands, and then it's like could cause diarrhea, death, heartburn, and everything else, right? Okay. Yes. All right, so that's the commercial, right? So you got to change that commercial, because that commercial is like, look, you got to take this shit anyway. Why not take it from us? You know what I'm saying? You could die anyway. Why not try this? But beer commercials are a little bit different. Beer commercials, it's like, you know, they got their heads moving, they having a good time. And that commercial is, I know you want to have fun. How about you have fun with me? Two totally different messages, two totally different conversations. So medical is starting to have a different conversation. And that's why they're teaming up with the Coca-Colas. That's why they're teaming up with the cigarette ads, the cigarette lines and the alcohol, because they're speaking two totally different languages, and they're going to be speaking to two totally different people. So you want to watch them and make sure that the company is teaming up with great companies. Partnerships. Then T is for territory. So as we already said, it's only two places that you can export weed out of. That's Canada and the Netherlands. Netherlands ain't got enough weed for their damn self, so they ain't sending it nowhere. But more and more countries are actually becoming not just medical, but recreational. So you also want to look at companies that are looking at taking on more territories. A lot of the companies that I kind of buy and hold, they have a minimum of 7 to 9 territories or countries that they're actually working in. And you want to be able to look at those, because those are going to be the companies that's going to be sustainable. All right. So that was my plant formula. I ain't gonna give you all my good stuff. So what we do have is a course that is called our Core Strategies course. And for the M4M members and the members that are on here, we got 25% off. This is a 6-session course, and the course is actually, it retails for $199. Now let me tell you what you get into this course. I love it. It's one of my babies. First of all, you're gonna get 30 of my favorite stocks and funds in cannabis. And let me tell you why this is important. As I said to you guys before, is that if me and T or me and anybody decided that we were going to go and raise money and have a cannabis company, yes, it's regulated by the SEC, but that don't mean that we know what we're doing. Like me and you can really we ain't got no product or nothing. All we got is the idea. And we could go and actually raise money. So those companies, so out of the 300 companies that are in inception in cannabis that are being traded, I took the top ones that I actually have been following, I've held at some point in time. And though these are different, these are companies that actually have growth potential. So it's funds and companies that I think are really, really good and that me and my team have researched. In addition to that, you get my watch list. You're going to get my resource guide. I love this. This is a resource guide that I actually use that has several different sites that you can actually use for you to be able to get subjective information to make great decisions. You get in my risk tolerance test and my risk appetite test. So whenever you're investing, you must know what your risk appetite is, and that's going to include your risk tolerance, how much volatility you can stomach, your risk capital, how much money you can actually invest, and then risk aversion. The good, bad, and the ugly is you got to know how much you're going to be willing to lose. Last but not least, you get a bunch of different bonuses, and there's homework and everything. So regardless of where you start, whether you're advanced or beginning and have never traded, this is a great course. Now, let me tell you what you learn in the course. The course is created so that you can minimize your risk, maximize your return, and be able to manage and make great decisions. So let's talk about what this is. The big upside in cannabis is buying and holding. I'm just going to tell you that. That's the big thing. But culturally, we like to trade because we want to create income. So this strategy I actually created where you're able to take your risk tolerance and you're able to leverage some buying and holding, and then you can also be able to create income at the same time with other ones. And I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. So from me being able to do this, and this is a strategy. One, you don't have to quit your job and babysit. You're able to go in and use strategies so that you can get in and get out. There's going to be alerts. We teach you all of that good stuff. And then if you have questions, and it's a 6-session course where you get everything. You get a video that walks through you, a full presentation, and everything is set up. And I love it, love it, love it. So it is one of my babies. I'll probably say this is probably my proudest course that I created.
Cimone, first of all, we want to thank you for sharing this wealth of information and giving us your secret seeds to success, just as an introduction, because that's really what I wanted, was for the viewers and our M4MM members to get their toe in the pond here, just to see, are they really equipped for this, and to find out that you need not only some financial research but a hold on your emotional status when investing. That opens up a whole nother spectrum of conversation, and I know that you are going to give it to them in depth with your program. Everyone who has been tuning in, thank you once again, and the discount code is M4MM. So before we get to the Q&A, Cimone, can you tell them how to register for your courses? And
if you would add, I sent the link as Cash Out on Cannabis Teachable, and then if you just add the discount code M for capital M for MM, it will go ahead and let you go right in, and you can start today.
Great.
So the class is $199, and then you get 25% off for the membership. And it's 6 sessions, and you get all of my goodies, all of my little tricks and stuff in the bag and all of that other stuff. And the cool thing about it is you're able to you can use it over and over again. But what I do love about it is I actually do a video. So it's not, so you get the presentation, and then I do a video to walk you through, and every session you get homework. So it's not like not like you do it. No, by the time you finish with me, you have opened up your account. You got your side chicks and your main chicks. You know how much you're supposed to be investing every month. You know totally how you do it. You know when your entry point is and when your exit point is.
Excellent. So I'm going to kick off the Q&A. I just got a text. I'm getting some texts from people who can't join right now, so I'm going to ask some of their questions.
Cool.
But what advice would you give to the Robinhood heads? And
as far as what?
I think what the question means, I'm assuming, what would you advise people who are just taking some of their coins and jumping into an app, maybe such as Robinhood, and only utilizing the resources? Because I know that Robinhood and another one, even Acorns, they give some tips on which one to buy, when to hold, and things like that. That seems to be it. And some people really do find success in it, I'm assuming. Some people don't. So would you suggest that they kind of wait to start using these apps to get more educated, or is that a good place to start?
Well, I mean, the hardest thing about getting into the stock market is busting your cherry. It's the first trade, right? That's the hardest thing. Let's be honest. I mean, you know my mouth is horrible.
I love it.
That's the hardest thing, is to actually do the first trade. So I definitely say that, because I would say go ahead and do the Acorn or whatever. Understand though, if you have to decide whether or not you really want to do this. You know what I mean? If this is just a novelty and this is just something that you want to be able to talk around the water cooler and tell people that you own cannabis stock, then, that's a cool place and you just stay there. But if you want to actually kind of monopolize and really kind of get into the market, you need to kind of figure out a strategy of any kind, right? So that's just like me saying, okay, I play basketball. All right, yeah, I play once a year. But do I really play basketball? Nah, you know what I mean? But if you going on a regular basis and you do this every Saturday or whatever, then you're going to create a strategy, you're going to create a routine and everything else. So it's not like anything else. Now, if you just want to impress people at your job and tell them that you got canopy growth, then keep doing what you're doing.
Cool. And thank you for that. I think that was a great question. I'm going to ask one of my own if no one else has any questions. So far, I don't want to hog the mic. I'm just keeping the conversation going, because I have a ton of questions, but I'm going to go on ahead and join the course myself.
Cool.
But just right out the gate, how much money should someone have
Okay.
just to start. Not, I mean, everyone has their own estimation, but just a safe amount once I decide, okay, I got a few extra coins to play with.
All right, so cool. Let me answer that. And that's a very frequently asked question, right? So I'm going to say this in a couple parts. First thing is that now, since we have all of these apps that we have going on, because you have Acorn, you have Stash, you have Robinhood, you can actually start investing with as low as $25. So let's put that out there, right? So with Stockpile, you can actually buy a cannabis stock, Canopy Growth, Tilray, or Aurora, or Alternative Harvest. You can buy it for $25. So that's let's talk about what the minimum is. So the minimum is about $25 that you can actually do the trade with.
Okay.
And that gives you, in most cases, if it's not the amount, it'll give you a fraction of a share, but you still get a chance to participate. The next part is that is a personal question, right? So when I talked about one thing that we determine is we determine a person's risk appetite. And that risk appetite is going to consist of how much volatility they can use and how much capital they can actually invest, right? And then last but not, how much capital they're able to lose. And so we're able to teach them how to use market orders and limit orders so that you can hedge your bet and you can decide how much that you can lose. But in addition to that, what you have to understand is how much can you regularly invest. Now, one of the things that I suggest for a lot of individuals is what we call dollar cost averaging. And dollar cost averaging consists of you investing the same amount of money in monthly intervals every month at the same amount of time. So you want to decide, are you going to are you going to invest a lump sum? Are you going to do intervals? And if intervals, will they be monthly, quarterly, or whatever? So that's a personal question. You got to remember, and you have to also remember that we're in an emerging risky market. Remember, I tell you all of the risks. You know what I mean? I ain't going to just tell you all the good. I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. So you got to know, you know what I mean? How much of this am I, or how much of this am I looking to, when am I looking to use it? That's another thing. And that's in your risk tolerance. You got to look at your time frame. If you know that you're trying to put this money, people will call me and tell me this. I want to put some money in cannabis stock, but my kid is graduating next year. I want to take it back. How the hell are we supposed to know what's going to happen in the next year?
Exactly. I see.
You sound crazy. So you got to make sure, you got to make sure that you got this money put and you have a realistic idea of when you're going to be able to withdraw. Because I can't tell you, I mean, we know long term, because we talked about the emerging market, we talked about new kids and all of that other stuff. So I can tell you, we know what cannabis will look like in 5 or 10 years, right? We can kind of say, those things are kind of safe. We know technology is going to hit in, inflation. We know that there'll be more end users, right? 10 years. I don't know what's going to happen next year. I don't know what's going to happen next month. So if that's what you're waiting on, then this might not be the party for you.
Okay. So once again, we're talking about emotional investment and research also.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions or even comments for Ms. Casson?
Yes.
Who's
That's
speaking?
Miss Coney? No, that's Kimberly.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I
This is
can.
Dr. Rita.
Hi, Dr. Rita.
Hey, Dr. Rita, how you doing?
Oh my God, this was such an amazing presentation.
Oh, you're so sweet, Dr. Rita.
Excellent. Oh, I have a brokerage TD Ameritrade, so when I do your course, do I have to change my brokerage?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, you don't change your course, because the course is only going, there's ones that I suggest, but there's absolutely nothing that the course is just going to teach you how to maneuver through it, right? So what you want to do is you want to be able to create a strategy. And I stress this a lot in the course. Like, okay, can I give y'all an example?
Please.
I want to give y'all an example because I know we're wrapping up. But did y'all see how everybody was talking about Lyft?
You mean like when it's
Lyft just launched their IPO on Tuesday.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so they kept seeing us, right? And so it's a smoke and the mirrors kind of deal. So let me tell you why I don't invest in IPOs. I don't invest in IPOs because, as we said, remember that the market is based on sentiment. And so when a company first comes out onto the stock market, me and you haven't decided how we really feel about it. So it's not its real price. Don't never buy no IPO. Not for broke people. IPOs are for millionaires who want to go in and they can buy up a whole lot of shares and they can move the needle. IPOs ain't for us poor people. Don't buy that. That's crazy. So let's put this in perspective. So everybody goes in and then we're looking at this IPO, right? So they got all the poor Black people saying, we're going to buy this. Now check this out. Last year, Lyft lost $911 million. Last year, they was in the hole, $911 million. In addition to that, they're number 2 in the market. Y'all know Uber is coming next. So when it's like, that's almost like if you got McDonald's stock and you buy Wendy's. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And then last but not least, Lyft, most of their stocks are actually owned by the executive team, which means that, guess what? The executive team can say, hey, y'all, we're going to do a pump and dump. We're going to sell all of our stocks, take the money, you know what I'm saying? Sell them high, take the money, and then we'll buy it back.
And buy them low. Oh.
Right. So,
wow.
So what it is, so I'm sharing that with y'all to say is that I do not deviate away from my strategy. I'm not a dumping ground for stocks. Now, mind you, I will take I will look at something, but if it's not on my main chicks and my side chicks list, I'm not buying it. People ask me all the time, they like, oh, Cimone, do you know about ABC Company? Why the hell would I know that? I ain't trying to buy it. I don't know about nothing that I don't want to buy. People ask me, oh, I just bought Lucid. What? I tell them quick, oh yeah, what's that?
Tell me about it.
Right, because so when I tell you this, what I'm saying is when you go in and you start trading for yourself, stay focused. It's going to be a whole lot of noise. We saw that with Nike, right? So Nike went from when we had the Kilpatrick thing. I mean, what's his name? That's his name? Colin.
Yeah, Colin Kaepernick.
Kaepernick.
Yes.
Okay, well, when he went in, the stock was $81 and it went down to $79 and some change. Now, I don't know about you, but I ain't never went in Macy's and got excited about a 3% discount. But they had it all on our timeline, right? They had it all on our timeline to go in and buy this stock. That's the overplay for the underlay. So you got to remember that the media and these companies have figured out that us Negroes have started to invest. And now they're using us as consumers just like anything else, where they go in and they pump and dump. Wow. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. When you get a strategy, and that's what this course is for, when you get a strategy, you stick to it. If me and you decide that this is your buy and hold, you hold on to that thing for dear life. You got to remember, it's just like a relationship. Remember why you married your husband in the first place. This man done got on my nerves. He don't put the toilet seat down. But at the end of the day, I got to remember why I bought it in the first place.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And you just cracking me up with the analogies, but it makes it so much more.
Yeah, you have to grasp. I love you too, Ms. Reed. But you got to remember that, and that's so the ones that we gonna trade in and out. I always tell you, like your side chicks or your side dudes, those are the ones that you looking for outside stuff. You looking, do he have nice jeans? You know what I'm saying? Is he gonna pull out the chair? That's what you're gonna look at those companies for. Are the prices low? Can you get out and make a little bit of money? You ain't really trying to fall in love with them. But the ones that you want to hold on to, you looking for true value. Is the company structure good? So just like your man, is he good to his mama? You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Can he fix stuff? Gotcha. You're looking for true value stuff. And that's how you do it. And so once you go into that situation, you can make confident decisions. You're going to make confident decisions.
Well, I think that this is such an exciting time to get involved. And everyone, thank you for coming, stopping by, and tuning in. Cimone, what I gathered from today's presentation is, once again, that emotional investment that a lot of us don't think about.
That's a big part.
Having your hands in a few cookie jars, but staying true to the cookie jars that work. And last but not least, when it comes to stock, Pimping ain't easy, but it is possible.
It is. Pimping ain't easy, but it's possible. And when I see a lot of women on here, I just want to leave y'all with this. FYI, women actually outperform men's portfolio by about 15 to 20%, and they're better in returns.
Just fixing my crown while you tell these facts.
Yeah.
But brothers, we welcome you to.
Oh no, we welcome y'all. But if y'all need some help, baby, King, we're here. King, we're here for you.
We can't help that we're a source.
We're a source.
That we are a source.
Ms. Love says she has a question. Can we unmute her?
Okay, you know what? She can. I don't know. I think that is.
You can type it or unmute it, baby.
Yeah, it's not muted.
Oh, go ahead. Either you can type it or you can unmute it, whichever one.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Oh, yes. Mr. Love. How you doing, Mr. Love? I'm so sorry.
You keep calling me a woman. I was like,
I'm so sorry.
You gotta speak up.
I'm sorry.
No. So I only have one question.
Okay.
One, I want to thank you for the information. It's really insightful.
Good. Thank you.
How long is the code for? Does it expire in a certain amount of days, or like?
Oh no, y'all. You know what? I think I want to say I did it until June or July or something like that.
Okay.
But I can extend it to the end of the year. I mean, it's a code. It won't change. The only reason I think I did it until July is because usually every 90 days, what we try to do is we try to go in and update the courses, because the industry changes so much, and that's what I found. So because the industry changes so much, meaning like where we are in this emerging, because now it looks totally different than what it did last year, right? As far as the market. So what we've done is about every 90 days, we go back and we try to look at the courses and say, okay, what's still prevalent and what's not anymore? And what do we need to implement? So that's why I changed the code, because we usually try to change the classes or update them every 90 days. And that's just because the market is moving so quickly.
Awesome.
Cool.
I appreciate Cimone extending that code, because there are a lot of people who are going to watch this or maybe look at their notes later and say, I'm ready, but I'm not ready. So I appreciate you giving people that time, because this is a major decision. And once you're in it, it is time to get serious. But once you're in the flow of things, the money will come in. I've found small success in stocks, but I'm ready to take it up a notch. So I look forward to the class series. Anyone else? It's 1:08 p.m. I was actually looking to cut off no later than 1:15. So we're doing great.
And one thing I would like to say is that the thing I like about this course, and I like this course because it actually really hones on to our culture. And I'm just gonna be real. You know, you guys probably have friends that trade Forex. Right? Have y'all seen this? It's a lot of African American people of color, period, that do the Forex market. And if you don't know what the Forex market is, it's the foreign exchange market. You've seen it. Everybody and their mama got a friend that's doing it.
Okay.
But it's the foreign exchange market, and pretty much you're trading coins. So, you know, it's just like when you go to Canada and you change your US dollars to Canadian dollars and whatever it is. So you trade and you actually make money from the difference. That's what it is. All right. So trading in the Forex market, though, is a little bit easier than trading in the stock market. So in the Forex market, you're going to trade cryptocurrency. You'll trade, other currencies. It's just currency as a whole. The reason why that actual trend is so prevalent in the African American community is because it creates income. And in most cases, that's really what we want. A lot of us don't have a whole lot of money to put over and have it sit and wait for 5 or 10 years. You probably looking at me and saying, Cimone, I already got a 401k. I don't need another one of those. I need some money. Well, this course actually helps you do both. So you're able to invest in strong cannabis related and cannabis funds, and buy and hold, but then also you're able to make you some income and not have to quit your every day. See, that's the key. I'm not watching no screen every day. I got other stuff to do. And people ask me all the time, Cimone, what about day trading? I mean, if you want to quit your job and lose all your money, go ahead, do it. But not me. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it's like, that's your choice.
Hey, God is good. I don't say nothing. You know what I mean?
I have a quick question, Cimone. I want to make sure, because a couple of people are texting me, link to the classes to register. I have the link to all of the classes and webinars that you offer on your website.
You can go to my website. If you want to do one-on-one courses for my website, those are one-on-one. So that's when you book me, and those are going to be a little bit more expensive. But those are the ones that are one-on-one. You can book the time, and then that's one-on-one, and we have it just like this, right? It's just like this, and you get the course information and everything. Those are a little bit more expensive. The 6-session one, you can actually go through yourself, right? So it's already done. You're hanging out with me because you're gonna see a video. It's this background. We hanging out, we're kicking it, but it's already, you can just click through it and go through it, and it still gives you
so it's on the website?
No, it's on the link that I gave you. I sent you a special link that said
okay, so it's sent to me. I want to make sure that you didn't post it up here already.
No.
Okay, I'm going
so that one. No,
I'm gonna resend that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna resend that right now.
Mm-hmm. So that one, my website, you got that one, and then the other one is if they want to
typing it in now.
Yep, if they just want to go through and take, and that one is a lesser amount as far as the expense, right? Because you get a chance to just do it automatically. Now, mind you, you still have me though. It's not like you can't call me or whatever. You still have me to walk you through. But I really do like that course. And I like it because you have access to it all the time.
I typed that in correctly. It's caching.
No, what I would probably say is, can you go into your the message where I sent you?
Yes.
And pick that one up, and then can you copy it and paste it?
I sure can.
Because if you do it that way, it'll have a hyperlink for them.
Okay, no problem. Let me go do that right now.
And then just let them know if they just type in the discount code M4MMIL, make sure it's big M for big M, then they'll get their 25% off automatically.
Awesome. I am going in because I have to do it right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I like that course because it teaches trading and investing, and it's actually what I use. It's the strategy. It's the strategy that I use the most often. Because I be needing some coins too.
I have one more question before you go. While I still have you.
Of course you can. Talk to me. What's going on?
It's a certain word that you said. What is it called? Ancestry or
ancillary? Ancillary.
Okay, ancillary.
Uh-huh.
So my grandparents, we own a building. We've been landlords for since I was born, and their tax person said for them, because they're in a certain tax bracket, they said that they would have lower taxes if they start a business.
Okay.
So we've been trying to figure out what business should we start, and they're 75, they're 70, to start this business, and it was like, no, we're good, but I didn't realize that there's so many other ways to be able to start a business within this situation.
What state are you? Okay, first of all, before we go, will you say your first name for me?
Shies.
Okay, Shies. Okay, Shies. What state are you in?
I'm in Chicago.
Okay, you in Chicago. That's what's up. Okay, so do y'all go recreational in 45 days?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Is recreational up? Is recreational up? No, I'm asking you, John Day, is recreational on the bill yet?
There is a bill proposed.
Okay, proposed bill. Dope.
Yeah, nothing passed.
Cool. What can I ask you? What side of town you live in?
I'm still on the south side.
You stay on the south side. All right. So the first thing is that it's going to be determined on what your, and Dada, you chime in a little bit more with me. It's going to be determined on the municipality and what they agree in your area, what your alderman and all that other stuff decides on, the first thing. Now, and that's as far as utilizing the building. Right, so that's, you have to find out about that. It's utilizing the building, because I think that's what you started off with utilizing the building. If you're not looking at utilizing the building itself and just getting into the ancillary, my next step is you find out what you used to, what did you do in your past life. So if you were a chef, if you were an HR person, whatever it is that you did prior to, figuring out how you can leverage that talent and that skill set into the cannabis space.
And I'm glad that you mentioned municipalities, because a lot of recreational states are still going through that right now, California included.
Yeah. So we got 400, it's 400 municipalities in the state of Michigan, and I think out of that, only 162 have opted in.
Now, I don't know how it is there in Michigan when it comes to certain cannabis businesses, dispensaries especially. We can only have one per police district. Is it like that there in Michigan?
No, we can have, so cool thing is that municipality decides, that council in the state of Michigan, that council decides if they're going to opt in or opt out or what have you, and that's just how that goes. So however they do it, but every state, as we see, every state, continues to change, and do their own thing. And just like when we were on our call yesterday, John Day, we saw that we were all consistently saying the same thing, but it was different verbiage. Right? Exactly. We were all fighting for expungement. We're all fighting for, all these different things and legalization or whatever, whether it be a recreational state, a medical state or whatnot. But the stipulations, as we see, has been so different. And that's what we see and we talk about when we're talking about the regulatory and the political risk as a whole, right? So not only does it affect us on a micro level, it also affects us on a macro level too.
Absolutely. And we have one last question that just came in from Kiana Hughes, who is a huge force here in the Chicago cannabis scene.
So we're all gonna hang out when I come home?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So Kiana wants to know about non-cannabis company stocks such as Scott's Miracle Grow, who are still players in the cannabis industry, but not dependent on cannabis for profit.
Okay, cool. I can definitely, okay, so let's talk about this. Great question. So let's talk about what we think about Scott's Miracle Grow. Okay, so Scott's Miracle Grow is a great company, right? We've seen Scott, since our grandparents, you go outside and, they have the little the little thing that they stick in your yard during the summertime, let you know, and let you and your neighbors know that you're Scott's yard, right? And so Scott's has actually created a hydration system and other things that are used massively by marijuana companies. So we love Scott's Grow. In addition to that, Scott's is a great, strong company that offers dividends. Right? So one of the things, they offer dividends. And if you don't know what a dividend is just the company's way of saying, hey, we've made our profit, we're doing well, we're strong, and so we're going to shoot you off a couple dollars, right? We're going to holler at your girl. We'll give you a couple dollars, every quarter or every 6 months, just to tell you thank you for being a shareholder. Now, most of our actual cannabis companies do not offer dividends. And the reason why is we talked about this already, right? Why? Because they're constantly reinvesting that money into growing, into technology. Well, Scott's Miracle Grow don't have to do that. They got their shit together already, right? So they still peeling you off. So in my opinion, if you're looking at creating some sustainability, some strong structure in your portfolio, that's a great way for you to do it when you're going with Scott's Miracle Grow. So when you actually take my course, what I teach you is as we talk about your risk appetite, You have to have some stuff that's going to go up and down, and some things that are going to kind of be a little bit more stable. And so those stocks, Miracle Grow companies are going to be a little bit more stable. Miracle Grow has been $70-something for the last few years, girl. It is what it is. I mean, unless they get rid of all the damn grass in the suburbs, you got a good chance of having a stable stock.
Wow.
I hope I answered that.
I definitely think you did. And Kiana just commented, SMG currently trading for $78.58 per share.
It's 78. Yeah, it's been around $74 to $78. If you look at the 5-year or whatever, it hasn't had a whole lot of volatility. Even after they do their X and they kind of send out their dividends, they're still doing pretty well.
Stay pretty plateaued around that number. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they still kind of hang out around there.
Well, we are going to wrap this on up. Thank you, everyone. The questions were awesome. Even those who could not actually be here, I tried to answer all of the questions texted to me. Once again, scroll. After I stop recording, I will leave this open so that you all can scroll up and take notes on any of the chat. Hope that you all were taking notes throughout the presentation, screenshots, whatever you need, because this is such valuable information. Cimone, the way that she gives information, you're going to remember it, but you're also going to enjoy it, and it's going to make investing so much more worthwhile. So
Yay, sis. I love you. I love everybody like I love myself. Y'all can't stop me from loving you. Make sure that you guys reach out to me, follow me. You can follow me. Everything is Cimone, Cimone, Casson, Casson. Girl, I done forgot my name. And of course, they call me the dope chick, and I love you guys like I love myself.
Damn it. So make sure to use that discount code capital M for capital M, 25% off, and let's get this money, okay? You all have a beautiful rest of your Sunday, and stay tuned because I've got some great events coming up. We got 420 coming up, and I will also be having I might do a Facebook Live where I answer questions about building your cannabis resume. All right, Cimone, you know, I'm gonna sprinkle it on.
I love it, girlfriend. I will see you in a couple months, and
yes.
I love you guys, and we'll talk, and definitely have me back on or whatever. But we, me, you, and Kiana, we got to figure out what we gonna do when I come home.
Yeah, once we get it together, we're gonna announce it to each and every one of you. It's gonna be big, of course. Okay. So once you're ready, girl, say less. You all have a great rest of the afternoon. I gotta go medicate. Hey.
Okay, go medicate. I love you, baby. I'll talk with you later. Bye. Are we unrecorded?
Actually, I think you have to stop the recording. You're still the host.
Okay, wait a minute. Stop. Wait a minute before we. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, we're still recording, but
okay. Do you want to stop the cloud record?